Hi, and welcome to tonight's 40% ROI strategy class. I'm your host tonight, Bill Barnett. So tonight what we're going to be talking about is how to make 40+% return on investment, cash on cash. And for most people, that is almost an unbelievable number. We're going to show you how to do that tonight. And you'll be able to do it without, robbing a 7-Eleven, dealing drugs, or becoming an international arms dealer for the CIA. My goal tonight is this: to help everyone in America that needs a home find a home. We'll talk more about what that actually means as we go forward tonight. It's a big goal. You can see how you can become a part of that and get paid handsomely along the way, more money than you've ever thought about making in real estate, doing it the way that we do it, the 40% plus way, the 10K monthly guaranteed way, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you stay until the end tonight, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a copy of my Wall Street Journal and Amazon national best-selling real estate book called Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? Now, this is an adjunct onto what we're going to be talking about tonight. It'll be my pleasure to give you this national bestseller. About 250,000 copies sold since it came out. And again, Wall Street Journal and bestseller. So what makes this different? Well, what makes it different is me and the fact that I'm giving you a unique to the industry performance guarantee. Nobody else out there. I've been in this industry for 30 years. This is my 30th year to be in real estate investing, speaking, training, consulting. I've worked with everybody that just about that you can think of. And people don't give guarantees because all of those companies out there, the ones you watch on TV, the ones that you hear so much about, they are education companies. We're a consulting firm. We're here to make sure that you are successful by doing it with you. And because of that, we can give a performance guarantee that is a guarantee that puts money in your pocket. There's a specific income guarantee to that. Nobody else in the industry is doing that. So my name is Bill Barnett, and I am the difference in the program. Again, we've already mentioned national best-selling author, internationally sought after real estate speaker, trainer, and consultant. And I'm the guy that puts the rock solid guarantee to your success in your real estate investing. And again, we do this because we've been doing it for so many years, help thousands of real estate investors get successful. And every year we tweak and tweak and we find more and better ways till we got to the point that we can guarantee monetary success and even define the dollar amount, which is 10K monthly. So think about this over the next 24 months, what it would be like for you if you had $10,000 a month coming in, passive income, and being able to get to that point in a scant 2 years, 24 months. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Also, the thing that brings me the most joy and that I'm most proud of, I'm the dad of 3 amazing young men. Trey is up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, working in the food industry, the grocery industry. He's 29 years old. Bryce is a sophomore at Oklahoma, about to be 20. And then Pierce, my young one, is 15. He is a sophomore in high school, and he is about to turn 16. So these guys are just my pride and joy. They are the warmth of my heart and make me just excited to get up every day to be a part of their lives. So, I've done a lot of things right in the last 29, almost 30 years of real estate investing and training and working again with literally thousands of investors around the world. And, I've done a lot of things wrong too. And that's ouch. That's tough to have to admit, but it's just true. I've got enough scars to cover both of us. So after doing this for almost 30 years, here's the things that I've discovered. One is earning 40% as a minimum return on investment, cash on cash. That's what I refer to as secret number 1. And then also secret number 2 is that I've discovered the single largest segment of the real estate industry that has incredible demand in it, and it's a segment that's begging for our attention. And then secret number 3 is how to overcome the single biggest roadblock that you most likely have as a real estate investor. I had it early on. It's the thing that I see year in and year out hold people back from the success that they can have in this industry. And I've learned how to overcome that, and we're going to share that. So I discovered all this the hard way. You get to get it the easy way. Well, this is the hard way. And we just take knocks, bruises, bumps, hits in our life and in our experience. You know, experience is the best teacher. It's just way too long, way too time consuming, and it's not a very forgiving teacher as well. So let's talk about some of the things that you've probably thought about and learned along the way. It's a process that most people do when they are involved in real estate investing. They get started, and the first thing they do is they settle for low rates. I meet with investors all the time, and I talk to them about what they're doing. I go out and speak at real estate investment clubs around the country and around the world, in fact. But I talk to people about, well, what are you doing in your business? Well, what kind of spread are you making? What kind of profit are you doing with that? And I'm surprised at the number of people that say, well, you know, the market's tough right now. There's just not enough inventory. So I'm having to work for 10 or 12% right now. And I'm like, whoa, time out. What are you thinking? 10%? You might as well be a real estate agent and work for 6% and have none of your money exposed. No, this is a business where if you're not earning 40% as a minimum floor, you've learned the business, in my opinion, the wrong way, because you can make those kind of returns day in and day out if you learn the system that we're going to be talking about tonight and how to become a 10K monthly investor. So the second thing is most people get out there, and even the people that work with me and I start working with them, they want to use their own money. Now look, everybody has to have some availability. You either have to have cash or you have to have access to cash. We show you a lot of different ways that most people don't think about that they have access to cash to be able to do that, but you got to have one or the other. And everybody has one of those two things, either cash or access to cash. But most people want to come in, and if they have cash or credit, they want to use that. Well, that's about the worst thing that you can do. We're going to show you tonight why you shouldn't be doing that, and why, when you're doing that, it not only costs you sleep, but it costs you a ton of money for that. And then the third thing is, well, it's the process of the school of hard knocks. It is, what are the mistakes that you can avoid? So many people get out here and get started. Look, when I first got in the business, I did it that way. I wanted to do everything myself and learn along the way. And it took me about 3 years to realize, wow, I'm really behind the curve. I could be so much further down the road if I had somebody taking me by the hand and say, don't do this, because this is going to help you avoid a major mistake or one of those hard knocks and a whack on the jaw like is happening right there. So you want the easy way that guarantees success. To do that, well, you got to learn the process. So here's a picture of Coach Nick Saban. Nick is the head coach. Let me get that out of the way there so you can see this guy. He is the head coach at the University of Alabama, and he is a guy that is all about the process. So he is the single most successful head coach that's ever lived in college football. He's got 7 national championships, 6 at the University of Alabama in an incredibly short. He's got 6 at Alabama in like 11, 12 years, just an incredibly short time. Ranked number 1 going into a 2021 season again. But he builds all of his success and his team's success around a term called the process. And what the process is, I've studied this guy. I've studied a lot, read a bunch of books about him, absorbed this. That's just where I went to school. I played for Coach Paul Bear Bryant So when somebody comes along and they have a better track record than Coach Bryant, they've got my attention right off the bat. So I absorb everything that I can that comes from Coach Saban and about Coach Saban, and everything is in the process. So what is the process? The process is the step-by-step method to go out and for you and I to be able to achieve and perform at the highest level, and what we need to be focusing on and concentrating on to be able to have that process. So in the past, I've been in hundreds and likely thousands, but we'll just say hundreds of deals. And you know what? I didn't have to create a job for myself doing that. I see so many people, as a friend of mine, one of my mentors said recently that entrepreneurs have a bad habit. They create a 100-hour-a-week job to keep from having to work 40 hours a week. And if we're not careful, that can be how we create our life as an entrepreneur. That's not what you should be doing as a real estate investor. We're going to show you how to stay away from that and make more money than you ever thought possible. And then with that, have more free time to be able to enjoy those funds and enjoy your family as you go forward, and not create yourself just another job. So my results are not typical. This is the disclaimer part of it. This is the legal part of our presentation tonight. But you know what? Even though my results are not typical and they're not likely to be your results might actually be better than mine. What I've done is not incredibly unique. It's a system that I've learned through many years and many different mentors and coaches and consultants that I've pulled in myself. I spend money on my education and my training every single year. And a lot of times that surprises people. I'm never going to be at the top of the mountain because you never get there. This is a great business. It is an incredible profession. You can write your own ticket to whatever dollar amount you want, but you never stop learning in real estate. I don't know that you ever would stop learning in any profession. I can guarantee you're not going to stop learning in real estate, because we are either growing in life or growing in business, or we're dying. I always want to be moving forward and growing. And if that's the kind of business that you want to build, you're in the right spot and you're talking to the right guy. So we're going to talk about 3 secrets tonight to real estate investing and how to get to that 40% club and be a part of the 10K monthly and start getting those big checks on a regular basis. Success secret number 1 is the secret of being able to earn 40% as a minimum return on investment, cash on cash, and to be able to do that year in and year out. And I was working with one of my consulting clients today, and I got to laughing, and we were going over a deal that she's made an offer on. I got to laughing, and she's like, what am I missing? What's funny here? And I said, well, you're talking about 80 and 90%, and that you found some deals that are better than that, but you kind of like these, and you were almost apologizing for the fact that she was going to make 80+% return on investment, cash on cash, when just about 6-7 weeks ago, when we were talking about 40%, she was a little hesitant. I just don't know that you can do that. And so I started laughing today. Just, hey, now you're talking about 80 and 90%, because she learned the system to be able to find where those kind of deals are and where those numbers become very real on a regular basis. So secret number 2, which is the segment of the market that is the single biggest demand segment in real estate and in real estate investing, and it's begging for our attention. Somebody asked me the other day, Bill, this is so incredible what you're teaching. Why are you not just doing that solely and grabbing all these great deals? That's because I can't. I can't possibly. There's this incredible demand. I'll show you where that demand is later on. There's this incredible demand, and I could work 24/7, 365, and not make a dent in that demand. Now, it's a demand that really needs our attention. Not only is it going to pay us incredibly well, but it's something that our country needs. It's a hole in the market that is desperate for us to come in and help our country out by filling this need. And look, there could be 10,000 of us start doing this tomorrow. We're not going to make much of a dent. This demand is so incredible on this. So I said, my job is I'm doing it as fast as I can, but my job is also to help other people get started doing it so that more and more families end up with a great place to live. And so you'll see what I'm talking about when I talk about a market that's begging for your attention. And then the other thing is that third secret is I learned how to overcome the biggest roadblock that holds most investors back. And it's something that I've been doing even before I got involved in real estate. And so, which was back in the early 90s. And so when you look at that, I didn't know that I had this secret, but I was using it already. Then when I got into real estate, it hit me one day. I was like, oh my gosh, this overcomes the single biggest hurdle that real estate investors have. I've used it for my personal career, and I've taught thousands of other real estate investors a system to be able to use to overcome this single biggest hurdle. We're going to talk about that later on. So let's get into secret number one a little bit, which is how to earn 40% as a minimum return on investment, cash on cash, each and every year. So let's talk about what those numbers look like and what that really means to you to earn 40%. So we're going to talk in some round numbers to make it easier to follow, make the math easier on me. And look, I need all the math help I can get. So we're going to go easy here. We're going to talk about a house that's a $100,000 house. So if we've got a $100,000 property and we're earning 40% on it, now most people are going to say, well, Bill, that means you're earning $40,000 a year on that if it is a property that you're getting a 40% cash on cash return. Now, so let's think about this for a second. If I'm buying a $100,000 property, most investment loans are going to require a 20% down payment. That's where the cash on cash part comes in. So I'm not worried about the 100 because I'm using bank and mortgage company money for that. And we have lenders that we work with that whatever your credit is, we can get you over that hump and find you good lenders, because we work with a ton of them and they love doing business with us because they know what we're all about. And so we can find you lenders that want to work with you, even if you have stinky credit. Even I have a guy that had a federal tax lien. And here's where some of these guarantees came in. I sat down with him, we were going through this, and he's like, I want to do this. I've got the money to get signed up and get squared away with you. But I got to tell you, I got federal tax liens, IRS liens against me, and you're not going to find a lender that'll work with me. And I said, yeah, I can, because I also have access to a pool of private lenders that if we can't get you one of our business industry lenders, I can get you private money and we can move forward that way. And we did, and he's had an amazing run so far. You'll hear about some of his stuff later on tonight. But so if I've got a $100,000 property that's requiring a 20% down payment, then there's a $20,000 down payment. That's the cash that I've got to come up with. So that's that cash on cash part. So now I've got this $20,000 down payment to make my investment. If I'm earning 40% on my cash, well, what does that amount to? Well, 40% of 20 grand is $8,000. So if I'm walking away from this deal every single year with $8,000 in profit after I've paid out all the expenses associated with this, other than my personal income tax, because that's unique to each and every one of us. But after I paid all of the business expenses associated with this property, if I'm walking away with $8,000 a year in income, year in and year out, well, that's 40% cash on cash. And that cash on cash term means that that's the rate of return I'm getting on the cash that I had to put up, not the 100 grand, the 20 grand. That's what I had to come up with, because again, we're borrowing or leveraging the rest of that. So if I have to do that, come up with the 20 grand, but I can make $8,000 a year on that, well, that's 40%. And as I mentioned to you, one of my new consulting clients here that's just been with us a few weeks, just today was talking about 80 and 90% on a couple of deals that she's making offers on. And when you look at that, so on this particular thing on $20,000, well, what would that be? If it were 80%, that'd be $16,000 that she would get back in 1 year. Now, this is just the cash on cash part, because there's two other pieces to your return that a lot of people don't think about. And when we're calculating what the return is, we don't use this piece, these two pieces in this calculation. This 40% number doesn't even include these two great pieces of additional profit for you on each and every single deal that we work with you on. And so one of those is depreciation. If I'm buying an investment piece of property and I'm not flipping it, now we do a lot of flip work, but we also do a lot of buy and hold, because that's where wealth is. So we do a ton of buy and hold, and that's what we're talking about tonight, is buying, hold, and getting monthly passive income coming in, guaranteed passive income. That's hugely important. Guaranteed income. We'll talk about where that comes from as we go on, but guaranteed income. So if I'm getting a return like that, I'm getting depreciation. I'm getting 40% as a minimum on my cash, but then the business allows me, the IRS allows me to take an investment piece of real estate and depreciate it 10% per year for 10 years. Now, it's not 10% of the cash that I have involved in the deal. It's 10% of what I paid for the entire deal. So in this case, we're talking about a $100,000 property. My 10% depreciation per year for 10 years is 10 grand. So if I'm making $8,000 cash on cash return, that's at that minimum, that's that 40% number. If I'm making cash on cash after all of my business expenses and I've got $8,000 there, then I turn around and I get a 10% depreciation on this particular property, and that's $10,000. Well, now that deal for 1 year has already returned me $18,000. Isn't that amazing? So then there's another piece of this, and that is appreciation. So you get cash, you get depreciation, and you get appreciation. Now, I got to tell you, some of the markets that we're in where these numbers all fit and work, you get very minimal appreciation. But even minimal appreciation is at least 3%, and that's just the rate of inflation. So if I'm getting 3% on a $100,000 property, well, that's $3,000. So let's go through what we've got. I've gotten $8,000 cash on cash. That's my 40%. Got $8,000 there. Now I've added to that $10,000 worth of depreciation, 10% of the total value of the deal per year for 10 years. So now I've got $18,000, and I've come back in and I get a $3,000 price appreciation on the property. That's my 3% number on this $100,000 property. So my total wealth increased on this one deal, $21,000 in 1 year. In 1 year. And I got $8,000 of it that goes into the pocket. And then I've got tax benefits on another 10 grand. And then I've got equity buildup of another 3 grand on there. So $21,000 on a $100,000 property. Think about that, what that means to you. That's an amazing number. So that on the whole deal is over 20%, but on our cash on cash, we're looking at 40% there, and you're going to find that is our floor number. We don't do anything that doesn't at least hit 40%, and most all of our transactions have a higher cash on cash return than 40%, and in many cases, significantly higher than that. So that was secret number one. Now let's look at secret number two. And secret number two is the fact that we discovered the single largest demand segment in real estate, and it's out there begging for our attention to the marketplace. For years, I have talked about this market, and I have said for years, this is the single most underserved segment of the marketplace in real estate investing. and it's the guaranteed income segment. Now, the guaranteed income segment is HUD property or Section 8 property. Now, before some of you check out mentally, because I know I used to be this way, I've had Section 8 property through the years, and most people get freaked out because they go, well, Bill, I'm interested in the guaranteed income, but I hear that people tear up those properties, and if they do, well, we're left with the bill because, well, they have low income to begin with. So even if we sued them and won, we wouldn't be able to collect the money. So here's what HUD did, about 10 years ago now, to overcome that, because investors like you and myself were not coming into the marketplace and they desperately need us there to provide the housing. And so what the HUD program did some years ago was they went in and they put a penalty on a tenant that destroys the property or damages the property, anything above what's considered normal wear and tear. And that penalty is this: if they go in and find that somebody has, in their mind, just basically vandalized the property by the way they left it, they are kicked out of the Section 8 program. And once you're kicked out of the program, you don't get to come back in, ever. It is a no recourse, no recovery. You're out, you're done, you're never coming back in. And because of that, the tenants in Section 8 changed almost overnight, and they are terrific tenants to work with. They understand the penalty. They take care of the property. Now, if a tenant moves out and there is some damage that's above normal wear and tear, most of your housing authorities around the country, and I can't say all because I haven't dealt with all of them, but most of them, the overwhelming majority of them, have a process to be able to come in and pay for some or all of the repairs that need to be done, so that we're not out cash out of pocket, because they want to keep these properties that we put into the Section 8 inventory. They want to keep them in the inventory. Why? Because they have a tremendous deficit of the number of properties that they need. In fact, I want to show you something here. This is a study that was done. It was completed at the end of June of 2021. So about 60 days ago, this study was completed, and it's by the Council on Low-Income Housing. And when you see these dark red states, Florida, Texas, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, California, and way over here, Delaware, which I think is hilarious, and you'll get that in a little bit. So when I look at those states, when you start talking about California, Florida, and Texas, you're talking about massive, major population centers. And what the key up here says is that those dark red states have a shortage of 70%. Now, what that means is for every 100 families that qualify in these dark red states for Section 8, which are millions of families, for every 100 of those families, there are only 30 Section 8 houses available for them to move into. This is incredible demand all over our country, and you see all these other states. Let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. See these very light colored here, which is mainly in the heartland, deep south, and kind of more westerly, south and westerly. Those have a 46% shortage. So for every one of families that are living there in those states that qualify for Section 8, 100 of those families, they only have 46 homes. So there's not a big gap between the states that have the greatest need and the states that are doing significantly better, but you can see they still have a tremendous need for you and I to come into the marketplace. And so this has become an amazing market to be involved in. And it's a market that we can get returns in that until you start seeing them come into your bank account, they just make your head swim. Because when we're talking about being able to make 80, 90, and 100% cash on cash per year, with a 40% as our absolute floor minimum. If we can't make 40% cash on cash, we don't consider the deal. So I'm going to show you how we do that. There's so much we need to cover tonight. We're not going to have near enough time to be able to do that, but I'm going to show you some ways that we can fill in the gaps for you as we start to wrap up later on. So the third thing is how to overcome the biggest objection that holds most investors back when they're talking about investing in real estate. And I'm going to tell you what that is. Most investors think, well, I can find somebody like you, Bill. I can find somebody like that to teach me how to do this, to take me by the hand. I've always been what's referred to as an experiential learner. We're not an education company, never have been, never going to be. Education only goes so far. You can go to the bookstore. I have an incredible book. I mentioned it to you earlier. Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? You can go to the bookstore and buy hundreds, thousands of books on real estate investing and get an incredible amount of knowledge. But typically the only thing that happens there is you get some knowledge. You don't get out, for most people, they don't get out in the marketplace and make things happen just from reading a book. So that's why courses came along. Well, a lot of people will listen to courses and same kind of thing. They know more, a little bit more educated, but they're not confident enough to be able to go out in the marketplace and pull the trigger. And then a guy like me comes along for you, and I'm an experiential learner and experiential teacher. Yeah, you're going to have all that, all the information that you need, so your confidence is high. But what's really going to just skyrocket your confidence is taking you by the hand and us going out together. And well, think about a doctor goes through an internship, or an attorney has a clerk that is interning. What they're doing when they do that is the person that is going through the internship is learning from somebody that is at a different level than they are, and somebody that's doing this day to day. And so it's not theory. This is the business. This is how it works. I'll give you a great example. In the mid 80s, I went to work for Merrill Lynch to learn how to structure financial deals. And we spent 4 months learning the process of taking the securities exam that you had to pass from the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC, that you had to pass to be able to get your license. So we had this 4-month training to get through the license process, and it was grueling and had a little pressure to it because the regional manager for the area said, hey, look, guys, here's the deal. You failed the test, you don't get to retake it, you're fired. You go work for somebody else that's a secondary firm if they'll give you a shot. But if you're going to stay here, then you pass it first time and that's the end of it. So you better get on and study. Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to pass it the first time. And so there was an announcement came in. This was before everything being done on computer. And so once the tests had gone in and gotten grade and then had gotten back to Merrill that these guys passed, and I was one of the group that passed. Again, this regional manager called into his office and he said, okay, here's who's passed, you passed, you passed. And of course, the only guys in there were the guys that passed and the ladies that passed. And they had a couple of bottles of champagne. We all had a toast. It was all celebratory, very exciting. And then once we finished the champagne, he said, okay, now all of that stuff that you spent the last 4 months learning, forget all that crap. I'm going to teach you now how to do the business. That was the book side of this thing. Now you're going to learn how to do the business. And that has stuck with me ever since then, because that is exactly what real estate is. And that's what I do with everybody that I work with in real estate. I'm going to give you the education that you need, the information that you need. I'm going to teach you the business, and we're going to go out and together, hand in hand, we're going to do the business together so that I know that you're doing it right. So the biggest thing to overcome, though, is most people just say, well, I can get that information and I have faith and trust in you, Bill, but you know what? I just don't have the money to be able to go out. Oh, I've got the money to get the education. I've got the money to do a little here and a little there. But maybe I can do one deal and that's it. I just don't have the funds or the access to funds. And one of the greatest things that I've been blessed with, and it's because I started back at Merrill Lynch in the mid 80s. So for 40 years now, I've been putting together private money, and I've taught countless investors how to be able to go out and raise literally millions of dollars of private money. I've personally raised over $300 million of private money through all these years, and class after class after class. I had folks that raised where classes of small classes, 20, 30 people, raised $15, $20 million over the course of a weekend to do their deals, not to do my deals. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I just show them how to do it, and then we work through that process together. So never let lack of funding for buying deals hold you back. And it is the number one thing that holds most people back, because if they don't readily have the cash or credit available, they just check out. And that's something that we can overcome, and we can overcome to a huge degree. So it never has to be an issue for you. So those are the three secrets that I've learned. And again, this has been the number one thing: money and the lack thereof, and lack of access to funding that freaks most people out and keeps them from moving forward in the business. So for the past 45 minutes or so here, not quite an hour yet, what we've talked about is how you get a minimum rate of return of 40% on that. So if you learned that that exists and you never thought about that before, and you learned, well, I know it's out there. If I know it's out there, I can go to Bill and learn how to get that 40% and better, then hopefully you're going to go, you know what, my time's been well spent for that. Not able to cover everything that we need to cover in a short web presentation like this. In fact, we couldn't cover all this even if I had all day long to do it. So here's what I want to talk about. It's a special offer to get to see if this is something that works for you, so that you can get everything you need to know, and so that you can become one of the investors that's getting a minimum of 40% return on investment. And how we do that, here's what I'm going to offer you tonight, is a strategy call. I'm not trying to sell you anything tonight. I don't know if this works for you, this fits into your lifestyle. I don't know if you have the aptitude to do this. I don't know that you have the makeup to be an investor or not. And the way for me to discover that is we do about a 45-minute one-on-one private strategy call, where we walk through what you're trying to achieve and if we fit or not. I don't fit for everybody. I know this will be hard for you to believe, because it's certainly hard for me to believe. There's actually some people that don't even like me. And hey, you know what? That's okay. I'm an acquired taste, and I'm not for everybody. And I don't want to work with everybody. I don't take everybody that wants to come in and work with us, because I just don't have the time to be able to do that. And yes, I have coaches that work for me, and I don't pass them along. If I'm not willing to work with you personally, then I'm not going to have one of my coaches work with you either. So we'll take this about 45 minutes. We'll go through this strategy session just to see if it works for you, works for us. We'll go through all the details. It is a multi-year program. And it's a program that has a guarantee to it. And I'm going to tell you what that guarantee is. And that is that by the end of the program, you're going to be making $10,000 per month. It's the 10K guarantee. You're going to be making $10,000 per month. You certainly don't stop there. You can go on and on, but that's the guarantee of the program for those that decide that they want to move forward. But you know what? Your strategy call doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time to see if this is a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for us. Now, look, we all know old habits die hard. And for us to change the outcome that we're looking for, we've got to change what our habits are. And, well, as Coach Saban says, we got to change our process. And that's what I teach, is a success process in real estate investing, so that you get that minimum 40%. And I just want to stress hugely, minimum 40% cash on cash return. So I want you to think about just for a second, what would be different in your life if a scant 2 years from now, in the next 24 months, you had built a $10,000 per month passive income stream. I am not talking about you going out and quitting your job, whatever that happens to be. I am talking about taking a few hours of dedicated time per week that is directed correctly, and I can teach you how to do that, so that you build this and it becomes additional income. See, the job that you have, whatever you're making there, that's what you survive on. That's what you pay your bills on. That's what you pay college tuition for your kids. You buy a car. I'm doing the car and college thing right now, so that's fresh on my mind. That's what you buy their cars with. That's what you pay their college with. That's what you do your house payment, whatever it happens to be. That's what you do with the money that you make at your job. But if you don't have significant funds coming in above and beyond that, you're never going to be able to build wealth. You may even have enough money coming in for your job that many people consider you rich. There are these stages in our financial life. Most people start way on one end. They start when they're young and they're broke, and they build up and maybe they get to middle class. And then they get to, some people, a percentage of those people will bump up to the second phase, which is what most of us would refer to as being rich. Then a significantly smaller percentage of people will step up to the top level, and that top level is wealth. So we want to take you through becoming rich to get to wealth. Wealth is having a portfolio of properties that is spitting out great income to you, and again, at a minimum of 40% cash on cash, year in, year out. Then remember, you've got depreciation on top of that. Remember, you've got appreciation on top of that as well. So I'm getting this minimum 40% cash on cash per year, and that's how we build wealth. It takes dedicated time, but it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time. It just takes quality time and knowing what you're supposed to do. So that's what we refer to as the process. So you're going to be thrilled, because if you're serious about this, we're looking at, if you saw our sign up page, we currently have 16 slots available, and that's it. Then once that strategy session is full, that goes away from now on. You'll never see this offer again, like what we'll talk about on the strategy call. If we decide, you decide, and I decide that we're a good fit and everything else falls into place, once those 16 slots are done, you'll never see this offered in that price range again, period. And think about again what the guarantee is. 24 months, we get you to $10,000 per month in passive income. So who does this work for, and who has it worked for? Well, it works for rookie investors. I love working with people that are new in the real estate investing world because they don't have bad habits. They haven't gone out and signed up for some other course or read something else, and now I got to go in and declutter all the crap that they've been taught from some other system and say, no, that's not any good. You keep this part, this big chunk over here, get that out of your noggin, because that's not how the business works. So rookies do incredibly well with this because their brain hasn't been tainted with bad information or bad habits yet. So if you're new, this is a great spot to start in the industry and build your career the right way from day one. The second type of investor is what I refer to as the unsuccessful veteran. Who are those? And when I say veteran, I don't mean Army veteran, I mean real estate veteran. So the unsuccessful real estate investor, that's a real estate investor veteran. If you go to the real estate investing club, it's most of the people sitting in those chairs. I speak at multiple clubs every year, have for many years. One of the things I do every time I speak to a club is I say, okay, so by show of hands, who has done a deal in the last 30 days? Okay, so keep your hands up. I want everybody to look around and see how many it is. And normally, if you've got 100 people in there, it might be 5 or 6, and that's about it. Okay, so now if you've done a deal in the last 90 days, hold your hand up. And there'll be some more people. So now we might have gone from 5 or 6 people to about 8 or 10 that have done a deal in 90 days. All right, in the last 6 months, you're going to pick up 3 or 4 more people. But then I stop it at 6 months and I say, I want everybody to look around. there's only typically about 15% of the people in the room have done a single deal in the last 6 months or more. And that's because a lot of people get fired up, they get excited, they get a lot of information, but they never cross that threshold from I've got knowledge, but I don't know how to put it into practice. And that's what we do with our consulting clients is we take you literally by the hand and say, go buy this house right here. And here's what you need to pay for it. And then we're going to work going forward on that to make sure that you're getting that 40% minimum cash on cash. And then we'll add those extra pieces on there, your depreciation and your appreciation as we move forward. So that's investor type number 2 that does really well with this. And again, that's the unsuccessful veteran. And then the third type of investor that this does incredibly well with is the investor that, well, maybe they've done a deal or two. Maybe they've got a lot of learning, knowledge, book smarts about real estate. They just don't have the confidence. Now, when I was talking about going to those clubs, this is the main group of people that you see in the real estate investment clubs. And by the way, I love clubs. I'm not knocking the clubs. Please don't interpret it that way. But these are the main group of people you see. They just don't have the confidence. You'll hear speakers and trainers and real estate people talk about, I couldn't get them to pull the trigger. Well, that's because they didn't have the confidence to be able to go out and know that they have made the right decision and to react by moving forward and making the offer and doing the deal. Well, when you've got somebody that's got 30 years of experience standing there with you hand in hand and going, hey, you know what? This is the right price. This is the right deal. Let's move forward on this. We've got the funding put together. Here's what your return's going to look like. There's no reason for you not to do this deal. Now, if I've got somebody there that's helping me do that, why do I not have confidence? I've got all the confidence in the world. You know, Mark Victor Hansen's the guy that co-wrote all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And Mark's been my big brother in business since 1978, long before Chicken Soup. And the whole reason that I speak and train with people is because of Mark. Here's a guy that had confidence in me, not only when I didn't have the confidence in myself to do that, I didn't even see that ability, but he saw that in me. And he was like, you know, you've got so much knowledge and so much success in real estate. We've got to get you sharing that because it's not right for you to hoard all of that yourself. When God gives you an ability to do something and you don't use that talent, well, it's just not right. And so Mark had confidence in me to train other people when I didn't have that confidence in myself. And then, of course, what happened as I started training people, I'd have a chance to talk to him. I got a hold of something where I got a bump in the road. I'd call Mark, and he'd walk me through it and work me through it. And it just changed over the years. And again, I've done thousands and thousands of investors, and I can help you specifically. But you got to set up the strategy call for let's see if we can work together. So, you know, when I was building this program, this 10K monthly program, I had two choices that I could do. The first choice is I could go as cheap as possible and try to get as many people as I possibly could in the system and in the program, and it wouldn't have incentivized me to really give you everything that you need if I went cheap. And I'm going to tell you, you see this every time you go out and you go to what's referred to in the industry as a preview event. You watch the infomercial and all that. What are they trying to do? Trying to sell you a little bitty something to get you to come back and do a little bit more, to get you to come back and do a little bit more. And maybe somewhere along the way, you might get everything that you need. The reason that I left that part of the industry after 8 years of being one of the lead guys working in that type of system was I got frustrated with, hey, you know what? These clients, these students that we have, we give them so much and we get them so close, but we don't push them over the edge because we don't give them everything that they need. And I decided that I couldn't do that any longer, and I left after 8 years in that business, that side of the business, and said, you know what, I'm going to build a program that gives them everything they need so that I can guarantee their success. Now, by the very nature of that, we're not going to be thousands of people. That'll never happen with what I do, because even though I have coaches that work with me as well, that we are limited to the number of people that we can work with because of how involved we are with you as a consulting client, as a student on a daily basis. So we decided I'm not going to do option number one. I'm not going to go cheap. There's 1,000 companies out there that'd be glad to take a little bit of money for you and give you a little bit of value and hope you get to make it. That's not me. That's not what I want to do. And we're going to show you the complete way to do this. And then the second option was to require a little bit more from you on the front end, but in exchange of that, be able to give you every single thing that you need, and not only give you everything you need, but guarantee it. Now, I talked about the most unique real estate investment guarantee in the industry, period, bar none, without exception, and that is we'll get you to making $24,000 a year, boom, 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 coming up pretty quick. Then the next thing you do, you look up and you go, wait a minute, now I'm up to 40,000, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm up to 120,000, $10,000 a month in walk-away income. That's after your expenses on all your property. That's after your business taxes, not your personal, but the business taxes associated with that property. That's after the insurance. That's after maintenance. That's after everything associated with that property. You've got $10,000 per month in that pocket of yours, and how that affects your family on a go-forward basis. And that's the route that I chose, because if I do that, I can give you massive amounts of value, give you everything that you need. And quite frankly, I'd rather spend more time and quality time with you than to have so many clients that I just couldn't spend the time I needed to or wanted to and get to know them. All of the people that I work with, I know intimately well. They're friends. They don't start out that way. They become friends over time because we spend so much time together. And the results that we get for you, people love us because of the results that we're delivering for them. So we decided to go second choice on that. Now, just like I had two choices, you've got two choices. And your first option is, hey, you know what? I could do absolutely nothing, not take any kind of leap of faith, not move forward on something that is 100% risk-free. I could just say, yeah, no, not for me. And nothing's going to change in your life if that's the decision that you decide to make. And look, making no decision is a decision. Or the second choice is you could book your one-on-one strategy call with me. Now, the strategy calls are all with me personally, because I've got to decide if you're right for our program, and I believe I can work with you and you can follow the direction. If you're not coachable, I'm going to tell you that. And I've had to tell some people that, and I've had a few people not respond real well to being told, I don't think you're coachable. So I've got to find out whether you're coachable or not. We're a good fit, a good mesh, and you've got the work ethic that will let me know that you're going to take the information that we're going to give you that's incredibly powerful and put it into play so that you'll get the value out of the program that you need to get. And so how we figure that out is with our strategy call and decide if this is something that you want to move forward on and give it a shot. And that's what we do with the second option there. So here's how it works. Now, all you have to do is get an invested interest in moving forward on the next step. And the next step is this. And that is, I'm going to book a strategy call. And it's worth these few minutes. It's 45 minutes of my time to do this strategy call with me personally. And if I do that, what you're going to do, if I do that, I'm going to figure out whether this fits for me. If it fits for me, I'm going to move forward. If I move forward, I end up, me and my family, getting a huge pay raise over the next 24 months. And then over time, that just continues to go up and up and up. Remember, it's a $10,000 a month guarantee over the next 24 months to get you there. So to get started, you book your strategy call. Now, here's how you do it. Now, literally, I set this up today. I've tried a couple of different scheduling sites. I think this one's going to work great for me. So you're going to go there. You're going to see there's plenty of opportunity available over this next week to book a call. You go to billbarnett.youcanbook.me. billbarnett.youcanbook.me. Pick out the time that works for you. We'll set up a strategy call. We'll walk you through this, see if we're a good fit together, and see if you can be a part of filling in this incredible demand around the country for housing. And again, this is the single biggest demand segment in the marketplace. My commitment to my business, my commitment to my goal is to be able to help every single family that needs a house to live in this country have one. And the biggest area that is affected is Section 8. And again, we need millions of more homes in Section 8. It's not a little bit of market out there. It's a gigantic market. But you got to know how to do it the right way in the right markets to be able to make the kind of income that we're talking about and the kind of return that we're talking about. That's one of the things that we'll be covering in the strategy call. Again, go to billbarnett.youcanbook.me. billbarnett.youcanbook.me. Pick your time out. We'll get together. We'll have a great time on the phone. It'll be my pleasure to talk with you, whatever you decide to do. So thanks for being on the call tonight. Look forward to having a strategy call with you, and best of success to you. Thank you now.